Welcome back to our coverage of the Ukraine summit, ongoing as we speak at the White House. Any peace deal around Ukraine would involve some agreement on territory. Now, currently, Russia occupies about a fifth of Ukraine's land. CNN military analyst Colonel Cedric Leighton joins me now from the Magic Wall. So, Colonel, there is so much talk about land swapping. I was just talking about it earlier with Richard Haas. Can you put a finer point on it? What exactly are we talking about when it comes to what Russia currently has since the war began over 3 years ago and what territory it wants?
Absolutely, Dana. Here's basically what we're looking at. When you look at the map of Ukraine, you see these four regions right here: Kherson, Zaporizhia, Donetsk, and Luhansk. These areas are the ones that are really in contention. This is what Russia has occupied for the most part. They've occupied some other little areas up here, but basically what you're looking at is here in the Donetsk region. This is the area that they really want to get. The Russians really want to get this, the area around Kramatorsk. The other thing to note about this is that there's a ring of fortifications right in through this area that if the Russians get to control this, which they have not been able to do, they would then be able to basically threaten all the other areas in this part of Ukraine, so all in the center right here, that could come under threat. So these would be the kinds of things that the Ukrainians are looking at to prevent. They want to keep this land, even though it's part of the Donbas region, which is what Russia wants. Now, when you look down to the northern area right here, the Kharkiv region, there are small areas of territory right in through here and up here that the Russians control. They could potentially swap those for other lands, but it's very, very small compared to what the Russians want in the Donbas region. And basically the same thing with the Kherson region right here, which is the southern part. And as Ambassador Bolton was mentioning earlier, this is the southern part. This is the Dnipro River right here. This is a natural area that could basically be a boundary between Russian forces here and Ukrainian forces here. But what the Russians want to do is they want to keep this. They also want to be able to threaten Odessa, which is the main port that Ukraine ships most of its grain out of. So these are the areas that are under contention. We expect the line to basically stay this way here, but to change in the Donbas region, and that's the kind of thing that would happen for Ukraine. We got to keep in mind, this is what NATO looks like right here. Ukraine is right here on the doorstep of NATO, and that's why this is so important.
Yeah. That map right there really does help to tell the story. All of them do. Colonel, thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. I'm back with our panel. Jill Dougherty, it's really striking to me that, to say that Vladimir Putin has chutzpah is the understatement of the year, but that he even wants land that they're not currently in control of militarily as part of this deal.
Well, if you look at the world the way Vladimir Putin looks at it, they've already made those part of Russia, according to their law. Of course, it's completely illegal, but he actually says, Donetsk, Luhansk, and Zaporizhia and Kherson are all part of Russia. And in many cases, he would say, the people voted for it. You're hearing some echo of that from President Trump when he said, not a shot was fired when Crimea was taken over. And that's kind of the same thing. Vladimir Putin, does things in kind of a legalistic way. Of course, it's completely illegal, but his crafty, he's studied as a lawyer, so maybe this is the way he looks at the world. He does these kind of fake legal things. And the fake legal things in all of these areas have been passing out Russian passports to people who live in those areas, having plebiscites at the point of a gun, forcing people to move from place to place. And then he says, surprise, it's ours. And this is what we're dealing with. He has a physical control, but he also has this kind of legalistic approach, which is completely illegal. And it's hard to fathom.
Yeah, well, if anybody understands his brain, it's you. You've studied it for a very long time. Jeff Zeleny, I want you and our viewers to listen to something that the President Trump, didn't intend to be public, but his mic was hot. This was as he and the other European leaders were sitting down to the meeting, and he was talking about Vladimir Putin and what Trump believes Putin will do for him personally.
think he wants to make I think he wants to make a deal for me. You understand? I think as crazy as it sounds.
Jeff?
A couple key words in there are "for me." I think he wants to make a deal for me. I mean, it's not altogether surprising that President Trump thinks this. Whenever there's a hot mic moment, we're always slightly more interested than when it's something that he would have just said. It's not actually all that dissimilar from things he said throughout the campaign. But what's different about it now is the whole comment there, wants to make a deal for me, that was at the root of President Trump's entire argument that I can end this on day one. That his relationship with President Putin was so strong from that first term. They were stablemates, as he once said on 60 Minutes, of which there was no evidence of. But this is just kind of the latest version of it. There's been zero evidence that President Putin is using his relationship with Donald Trump to do anything for Trump, to end it for Trump. So I think it was just a window into President Trump's mindset there, and perhaps not that surprising, but revealing.
It is a good point that most of what President Trump says, you don't need a hot mic because he just says it on a mic that he doesn't care if it's hot or not.
He actually said it just earlier.
But yeah.